Hi, Greta. I'm Lynn Boylan. I'm representing the GUE NGL group, and I can't say how pleased I am to see you here today, because the events of the last month have probably summed up the contradictions that we have in EU climate policy, because the political groups that wanted to stop you from addressing them are the same political groups that have decided against revoking access to ExxonMobil to the Parliament. You speak truth to power, Greta. ExxonMobil spent millions subverting the truth. Vested interests, we know, have captured the political majority. They have convinced them that we can tackle climate change while maintaining perpetual growth. And already we know that we are using more resources than is sustainable. The World Bank and the OECD are telling us that we can still grow by 3% per year. This is madness. It is absolute absurdity. The economy cannot be treated as a separate entity in its own right, unconnected to everything else. We cannot leave nature out of the conversation when we talk about tackling climate change, because climate change is the biggest crisis that we're facing in humankind, and we have to stop listening to the corporate interests and instead, as Greta said, unite around the science. And I have listened with great interest to what you have said today, Greta, and you mentioned my own country, Ireland, and how it is divesting from fossil fuels. But while it's divesting from fossil fuels, it's still issuing extraction licences to fossil fuel companies. It's still forging ahead with an LNG gas terminal. So what you want from all of us who are in this room, the people who have the political mandates, is to fight for the emergency response to climate change. That's, I assume, what you came here today, not to be patronised, not to have us all nod in agreement. You want us to act on the political mandate that we've been given and to take deep, far-reaching measures that are required. And that means leaving fossil fuels in the ground. It does not mean pumping millions of EU euros into gas infrastructure. It means ramping up our ambitions so that we stay within the 1.5 degrees in climate change. If we can have emergency conferences for banking crisis and Brexit, we can have it for climate change too. We need a credible path that leads us towards carbon net neutrality well before 2050. We need less extractive production, less consumption. We want localisation over globalisation. In other words, it's time that the EU powered down. So I commend you, Greta, for the stance that you've taken and the inspiration that you've given to young people across the world, including in all of the EU countries. And as I said, I say that to not patronise you. And I say it sincerely, that I must do better as an elected rep, but every single one of us in this room must do better. Thank you very much.